Welcome to another episode of The American Dream. I got a lot of notes today. Did you know the U.S. ranks 14th in the world for a happiness report? That sounds bad. That doesn't sound good. So we're actually going to dive into that. We've got the CEO of Quirky coming in. This is a new entrepreneurial, trailblazing model. You're going to love it. We're going to dive into some finance stuff today, and of course, we're going to touch up a little bit about the real estate market. Of course, I got to remind you, my number one job is to be your consumer advocate. So as we discuss anything today, if you want to reach out, if you want to get some advice, make sure you visit us online. While you're there, always encouraging you to follow us on social media, where we go against the grain of all that negative stuff in the media. That being said, let's empower your American dream and start this show right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and a pop culture that's polluting the airwaves, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream. All right, you're going to love this one. On this show, we talk a lot about business, the entrepreneurial spirit, but also real estate. This mixes all of it together. David Lowe, the CEO of Quirky, on the American Dream. Good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Craig. Excited to be here.
So we just met in the green room for the first time.
Yeah.
David walks in. I'm laid up on a couch. That's an interesting way to meet somebody for the first time. The back. It's these chairs. CEO of Quirky. We got a lot of cool stuff to dive into today, but there's one thing that you brought to my attention, that the United States is ranked 14th on a happiness report.
Yeah.
That's not good, man.
No. When I first read the stats or the report, I was astonished. I just thought, before I moved from England to the US, I just assumed America would be number one in the happiness charts, and it's the land of opportunity, home of the entrepreneur. And when I saw this, I thought, that's bad. I got to change this. I got to somehow change this.
Yeah, there's certainly, it's a country that has millions of people wanting into it, not out of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can maybe be a little bit spoiled by all the great things that you have. And I don't know, people are unhappy. There's more prescription drugs. It's kind of sad. I hate to see us 14th. But you're a guy who wants to change the world, man, and you're very passionate about it.
Oh, yeah.
Quirky is an interesting concept. Let's talk about it. So you're talking entrepreneurs, co-living, real estate. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a co-living community for like-minded people. So if you're an entrepreneur, for example, come to Quirky, live with people like you. You'll be part of a network instantly. We're aiming to have about 50 people in the first community. And so you can collaborate with people, you can learn from experts who are going to be coming in and talking, and we're going to help accelerate your success.
So you're building communities across not just the country, you're looking into other countries as well, where you get like-minded people that are going to live in the same community, pay rent.
Yep.
So you're paying rent.
Memberships. We hate the word rent.
Okay, but memberships.
Yeah.
And what it does is it puts you in a community of like-minded people to just build ideas.
Yeah.
And
that's
fascinating. Does it have to be entrepreneurs?
We're especially attracting entrepreneurs, digital nomads, and creatives. That kind of our three.
Where's your passion come from on this?
Back in 2008, when I was trying to kickstart my entrepreneurial career in London, I found that I wanted to, meet people who could help me, who I could trust, and I spent years trying to build my network. And I thought I wasted a lot of time. And back then, I was looking for co-living, but it didn't exist.
Sure.
So when I came across the US, and I launched my first business, got that going. I worked on that for 5 years, but I always knew in the back of my mind that this was the big business.
Well, so you're from England, started there. How
Yeah.
would you compare England to the United States as far as being an entrepreneur?
It's a little bit harder over there. When you tell people, you've got an idea, they kind of think you're a little bit crazy, and they'll say, get back into full-time employment. It's not quite as easy to get ahead there and start a business. So
you're here now.
That was always my dream, to come to the US, start a business, and build an empire.
So now you want to build these communities in major cities across the country. Do you feel yourself going into small markets as well?
We've chosen San Diego because we feel
as your hub.
As the hub, as the launch location. Because we feel like there's a startup ecosystem here, but it's in its infancy, and we really want to bolster this and encourage entrepreneurs to start their businesses here and stay here as well. There's a lot of talent.
So you're envisioning communities that are how many people living in these things?
Well, the first one's going to be 50, but we envision this being a lot bigger. So that eventually it could be hundreds.
So how do you qualify people for this? You know, I know you're calling it a membership, but ultimately, it's people going to live in a community. You have to identify the location.
Yes.
Right? That's a project on your hands.
That's key.
So I'll just assume you're going to work that out. How do you accept people into these communities to be a member?
There's going to be an application process that we're opening up soon, and we're going to be asking people, you know, what their ambitions are, at what stage they're at in their kind of entrepreneurial journey. In the case of digital nomads, where they are traveling, you know, in the world, and so once we've identified these people, we can kind of almost prescribe the right amount of time to be in the community that we would recommend, and how we can help them. There's a lot of communities that will say, come in and we'll do great things for you, but ultimately they just want your money. We're actually making we'll be making a real effort to connect you to the right people and help, like I said, accelerate your success.
Now, as Quirky moves across the country, what do you envision it being like in other major cities? New York, San Francisco, Denver, Salt Lake City. What do you think you're going to run into?
We're really keen to look at the cities where it's like a growing entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's not necessarily there, like in New York or San Francisco. It's where we can have the most impact. And so Tijuana being only 14 miles away, we've had a lot of interest from there. And there are a lot of initiatives in San Diego to create binational initiatives so that there's this kind of flow of ideas between the two countries. We're very fortunate to be so close to Tijuana. You know, a lot of people say it's a bad thing in the drugs and cartels, but there's some amazing opportunities. And when you speak to entrepreneurs down there, I mean, boy, I know they're in Mexico, but they embody the American dream.
David Lowe, CEO of Quirky. Airbnb is the #1 hotel chain without a hotel. Uber, the #1 taxi cab company without a taxi. We'll see what Quirky does. I'm really excited about your journey, man. Thanks for sharing it on The American Dream.
Thanks for having me.
All right. More of the show coming up next. Stick around.